tell me a bit about your time in California in elections administration.
Yeah, it's funny about elections, how people get into elections. I sort of got in on a whim. I didn't grow up saying, like growing up to say I would be a astronaut or something like that. I never thought that I'd become an election official. And then this position opened up in Stanislaus County, which is Modesto. That's where I grew up, in the Modesto area. And the 2000 presidential election was very fresh in people's mind. And so I said, what the heck, I can join, why don't I do elections? And, anyone can do elections. How difficult can it be? So boy, did I learn a lot, during my first election, which was the governor recall race of 2003. That was the election that had Arnold Schwarzenegger on the ballot. And he actually became the governor of California at the time. And so that was my first election. I caught the election bug, and I wanted to continue in that profession. And then from there, I took it to San Luis Obispo, which is where I spent the bulk of my career, both as an assistant for 9 years and then as the elected clerk recorder for 6 years, and then made my way back to the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, in Contra Costa. And in those years, I'll just say that elections had really evolved in California over the years, and it's just fascinating career at that, up to this point. And now being in Oregon, I'm just really excited being here to see how we do things, how we might do things a little differently, and how we might do things better in that way to as the second half of my career.
And why Lane County?
Why Lane County? So, Lane had an opening and I applied, and it really intrigued me to say, okay, so how are elections done in Oregon versus in California? And I realized that, in Oregon, they're only doing one election. It's all vote by mail. Whereas in California, it started out with in-person voting, meaning at a polling place. And then over the years that I've been in California, it continued to grow. The number of voters who voted by mail continued to grow because we didn't send ballots to every voter until 2020. And so now it was like it required more time to handle the volume of ballots coming through during doing the signature verification, preparing them for counting, all at the same time that we're still preparing our polling places, our supplies, the recruitment of poll workers, the training of those poll workers, so that I really, was feeling the pinch because we're really doing two elections at the same time. And so knowing that Oregon only does, the vote by mail was very intriguing for me. And because of the opening in Lane County and starting to understand the county a little bit more, talking with county administrators, I realized that there was a lot of retirements, for example, in the department. And so it's like a new generation of workers in our office. And so I feel like it's really an opportunity for me to mentor this next generation and for us to be, really improve our processes and really feel that we're working together for a common cause for our residents of Lane County.
Are there things that you've learned from being in California for more than 2 decades or in election administration for more than 2 decades that could help you to help Lane County modernize its election process?
Yes. One of the things that I realize is we never do an election the same way from election to election. There's always something that comes up, whether it's legislation requiring a change in the way we do it, or there's some unique challenge for one reason or another. Back in the day, it was, polling places. Well, this particular school wouldn't allow us to have a polling place there, so we have to find a alternate polling location. It's kind of like where our drop boxes are located. Wouldn't we want to do an analysis of our drop boxes to see if they're really serving the public well or not by the locations where they're placed at, right? So it's things like that. It's just the experience that you gain over 20, 22 years of how you problem solve, How do you problem solve? What's a methodology that you'll use to problem solve the problems that you're encountering at this upcoming election? And so those are the things that I think I can bring to the table for the staff to see that that way that I go about problem solving, so that they in turn can do the same. And so that's how one of the ways that I see how we can really equip the next generation for election administration.
And Multnomah County has seen ballot boxes be vandalized, explosions there. Lane County has seen an envelope come in with a powdered substance. What are ways to tackle these types of challenges?
Yes. So one of it is always like I hate to say it, but in some ways we're in a reactionary mode. There are some things that you just cannot completely anticipate all the potential things that can happen, we'd be spinning our wheels, right, trying to handle every potential situation. But what we do want to do is being aware of what's happening across the nation, for example, seeing, what news items are happening, and then starting to prepare off of that. Because what might be happening in one state might end up happening in Oregon, for example. So to be able to be responsive rather quickly to those needs, and then being able to, spin up a new procedure process that will keep us safe, for example, would be the mode that I would be in that way, so that we can be responsive and done in a very efficient way.
What challenges are you expecting here in Lane County?
Oh, actually, I think things are going to go smoothly here in Lane County. And it's just so fascinating, again, the way that we're performing elections, as I'm understanding more and more about the uniqueness of our county in Lane, our areas, our communities in Lane. I'm really enthused with that. Every county has its own unique features. And so as I learn more and more about the county and their, unique communities and the needs of those communities, I want to find ways that we can better serve the public in that capacity. And so those are all things I don't see it as a I see them all as opportunities. What could we do to improve our processes?
And Tommy, I want to give our viewers an idea of how transparency will work with you.
Yes, thank you for asking this. Transparency is as we are finding, like through university studies, transparency seems to be kind of the inoculation of mis and disinformation out there. And so that's one of the things that I'm really committed to doing. I have been doing this since 2020, of really trying to educate the public about all the different things that we do in elections. What are all the processes and procedures, the guardrails, the things that safeguard the election, and ensure its integrity. The public generally does not understand all of those things that we have in place. And so it's up to us as election officials to really get out there and educate the public about all of these procedures that we have. There's a minutia of them. So we have to be really good about communicating those things to the public in a way that they can understand and gain faith and trust in the process. So it could be things like public awareness campaign, an educational program at city halls, for example. There's a lot of things that we can implement. So one of the things I want to do is work with academia to find out what practices are being done across the nation that really move the needle in terms of adding additional, gaining more trust by the public in the way we perform elections. And by finding out those things, then we can implement those same practices here in Lane County. And therefore, we're not spinning our wheels. We're really trying to, make the most of the time that we spend and the resources that we have in order to implement those programs.
And what are the most pertinent experiences from your previous time in the industry that you're bringing to this role?
Yes, it really is the years of experience that I've had over the years performing elections. Every election is different. We learn from every election. It's this mode of continuous improvement that I always commit myself to. We're going to constantly review our procedures and processes after each election and determine if we need to improve upon them or not. And what more can we do to add value for voters, making the voting experience more enriching to them, or things that I'm always in this mode with. So over all those years of experience, we're always making changes to accommodate the voters, new laws, new procedures. And so those are the things that I think just the experience itself can deliver. No amount of education that I've had equip me for the work to be had as an election official, I will say. It's been the experience I gained has really given me that opportunity to really be at the top of my craft.
And my last question for you is just what you're looking forward to in the role.
I really look forward to moving this department forward, really mentoring the new staff that we have, for them to gain the same degree of enthusiasm that I have for the work, to understand how they fit into providing public service to the community and what that means, uh, uh, to the public in that way. Those are the things that really enthuse me to really equip the staff, support the staff, and then looking to technology, how we might be able to do things better and more efficiently, for example, or things that I want to look at to advance our profession, not only for elections, but also in the recording world. So it's this ongoing effort to continue to improve and then really build our team to be able to provide the best service to the public.
All right. Thank you so much, Tommy. I appreciate you.
Okay, great, awesome.